Hello, welcome. I think today's a great day to go over a few trades and also to talk about the truth about tariffs, something that's heavily debated in the media right now, as well as it does concern not only what we spend, our incomes, as well as our trading opportunities moving forward. Here's a little slide I thought it would be interesting to share with everyone. There's a huge debate going on right now in the political scene about the incoming, now that President-elect Trump has won. And what we're looking at is the tariffs and the threat that he's going to impose more tariffs. Well, the funny thing is, no one's really talking about this much, but I thought it would be interesting to go over this because something came across my desk and I just felt that this was the time to cover this. First and foremost, in 2018, Trump, yes, he did impose tariffs. So he knows what to do about imposing tariffs. In 2019, he actually reduced. Why did that go down per household? And by the way, this is the Tax Foundation nonprofit organization, information taken from Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. You can read that on the bottom there. In 18, he imposed tariffs on other countries besides China, Mexico for one, Canada, and Australia. But in 2019, he reduced some of those tariff restrictions on Australia because they're our trading partner, Canada, as well as Mexico. Trump loses an election in 2020, and what happens? President Biden comes in and says what? You know what? Let's impose and keep those tariffs, and let's add some tariffs. And as you notice, under the Biden administration, tariffs increase per household, almost doubling the Trump-era tariffs. That's kind of interesting. Don't think anyone's heard that. Have you heard that? That they were doubled under the Biden administration? Probably not. So how did that affect inflation? Let's take a look. This is direct from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, not John Person's hand drawing. But as you can see, as we get out of the election and as you get into 21 and then into 22, let's go back to that last slide. 21 and 22, look at those tariffs. And now look at the inflation rate in 22, 9%. There might be other factors there, but what a coincidence. The tariffs, not only did they increase during Biden administration, they nearly doubled from the Trump administration. Biden imposed more tariffs. And then we saw, again, the Federal Reserve had to step in and raise interest rates. All right, so here's the interesting aspect. Tariffs that were collected, or revenue that was collected under the two different administrations. Collected under Trump is $89.1 billion. Collected under Biden, $144 billion. Friends, that's a lot of money. And I think that the inflation, now, it may not be a complete 100% correlation, but there is definitely a tie-in, especially with those timelines. Here's something that might blow your mind a little bit. If you think, well, who came up with this information? Well, the funny thing is, you can go right over here to the White House website and go and check out the fact sheets for yourself. This is kind of interesting because here's where it's going to get a little bit dicey and probably, if you're like me, blow your brain a little bit, because here's an interesting aspect. If you go and you start reading this, it's like blah, 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 we're good, and this is great, and Trump's bad, and blah, 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 and it goes into that. You can read that. And I didn't mean to sound laissez-faire about it, but bottom line, it's the previous administration trade deal which failed to increase American exports. Well, we entered a pandemic, and that might be something to do with it. So, they kind of give themselves a pat on the back, but what they failed to do is say, oh, by the way, not only did we keep those Trump tariffs in place because they were probably a good idea at the time, but we added some in 21, we added more in 22, and if you look here, Section 301, we're going to increase more tariffs in 2024. Okay, we're almost done with 2024, election's over. Steel, all right, so they're increasing the rate on steel. Semiconductors, look at this date, 2025. Little sneaky little thing there that, yes, anything that comes in from China, they are going to add a tariff onto China going through 2025 by 25 to 50% on products. Electric vehicles, they're going in 2024, 25% to 100% tariff rate on EVs coming into the country. Batteries, battery components, parts, and critical minerals. Something we might need, but needless to say, they are going to increase those tariff rates in 2024, which you're probably seeing that reflection right now in material cost. Solar cells. Okay, I make that. I give that to them because we want that worker here in America to make an income on production here. Which, by the way, that's the whole thing about tariffs. When you have skilled labor here in the United States and you have union wages and you have union benefits, health care, all that comes at an expense to a company, number one. Company also, if it's a publicly held company, they need an accounting firm. They also have to have lawyers, and they also have to have maybe liaisons to work with the government agencies, specifically maybe the Environmental Protection Agency. All that costs a lot of money to a company. And so that bottom line increase in expenditure is going to cost more money for the output of that goods. I don't think China has to worry about their EPA. And I don't know if China really has a higher expense ratio on cost of employment, such as benefits, Social Security, healthcare. But needless to say, let's just say it's even Steven, which we know it's not. If some other country has cheaper labor force and can produce a good, and they import it here at a deep discount, versus America, what we're giving our workers, our skilled worker, our labor force, if at the end of that day, that product from a U.S. company costs $100 and a product that's dumped in America only costs $30, most end users are going to say, give me the $30 product. It's better for me. But it comes at the expense of American workers. And that's what makes the whole GDP and the whole commerce thing wheels spinning, right? You have employees, they work, then they take that money, they buy a house, they raise a family, and that American worker contributes to society and the commerce and the national commerce and the whole business of America. So, and it's just one big round robin. It all works and money gets washed around, right? Maybe they get on a plane, go have a vacation, shoot over to maybe Las Vegas, go to MGM, and guys like you and me will look at MGM stock and say, gee, I think that's a good value, and et cetera, et cetera. And capitalism works. But when you dump products, it comes at the cost of a job, and that's different. So here in the Biden administration, as we keep going down, ship-to-shore cranes. I didn't know we exported cranes, or imported cranes, excuse me, but the tariff rate on ship-to-shore cranes is going to increase. Medical products, and this is where it gets weird. They are going to increase and did increase in 2024, and they just enacted a new increase back in May, and they did another one just in September. So more increases in tariffs on new products were created under the Biden administration. And that, I think, my friends, is something that not many of you were well aware of, or at least didn't hear about. So the moral of the story is the trade war on tariffs will continue. But the question is, under a Trump administration, he now has a bargaining chip and say, hey, listen, we've had these tariffs a long time. Maybe he has the power to reduce those to have a competing edge with China, since China's economy is not firing on all cylinders, so to speak. So this could be an interesting 2025 as we move forward. Just in case you're not aware, I've been around for a long time. I've been started in this business of trading and investing in 1980. I worked for a guy by the name of George Lane. If you're trading, or if you're learning to trade, you may use his indicator. It's called stochastics. I also created a lot of very popular internationally known indicators, Person's Pivots, the PPS indicator, and a lot of those indicators, not only do I teach them in these books that were published years ago, but also can be found on trading platform like Charles Schwab's Thinkorswim platform. I hope you found some valuable information and at least enlightenment about maybe a little bit more of the truth and how and why I dig and look for my own research and how I help my clients and subscribers. And if you like what you hear today, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we put out a lot more relevant trading information to help you guys learn how to trade better and not work harder. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.